going to look at a bug in the January 26th edition of Visual Studio 2007 release candidate using the new open folder CMake feature. There's some kind of an oddity in how the CMake verbose makefile on option is being used. So we have a CMake lists text file which sets CMake verbose makefile on and creates one executable, which is just basically an empty C++ file with main. In Visual Studio, we use the new open folder command, which automatically sees CMake lists.txt and runs CMake automatically for us. We're also going to be using a developer prompt to help illustrate this bug. We're going to use a totally separate build directory so we don't trigger Visual Studio rerunning CMake on us, which would happen otherwise. We're going to run CMake in the developer window just as Visual Studio would. You have to put it in quotes. And we'll see that the output that it generates is identical to the output that we see from running CMake through Visual Studio. So in Visual Studio, we're going to take a look at the CMake settings.json file. We'll see that the msbuild command arguments give -m and verbosity minimal. And when we run it, we see the CL compiler options, but we don't see any of the options run for link. If we go to the developer prompt and manually run msbuild with the same options, we see the same thing. CL options, but no link options. So we can dig a little bit deeper by changing minimal to normal for the msbuild verbosity. And we'll just totally clean our cache, regenerate, and rebuild. And we get a lot more output here. msbuild appears to be showing what program it's going to be executing, the path, and the options. Like before, CL appears to be seeing the CMake verbose makefile option and putting the arguments out. msbuild shows us the link execution that it's running, but like before, link doesn't show us the options that it was running with. And in the developer window, we can run msbuild with the same command arguments. And we see the same output that we saw in Visual Studio. msbuild shows what it's executing, CL shows what it was given, msbuild shows that it's executing link, and link doesn't say anything about its options. So off screen here, I've deleted everything in this build directory. I'll show you it's empty. So we're starting over at this point, rerunning CMake with the same arguments that we have. And instead of running msbuild, we will jump straight to running cl to compile. MSBuild must create this directory, so we'll create it. And we'll run cl again. And this time we get the cl header and the line demo CPP, but no arguments. There's something really strange here. When we run cl through MSBuild, we see what's about to be executed. We see the cl header options that cl were given, which appears to be coming from cl, but we don't know for sure. And then this demo CPP line. If we run cl directly, we see all that is outputted except the options line is not. But we supposedly ran the same arguments as MSBuild did when it runs CL. So while CL's running, it's either being interrupted by MSBuild, and MSBuild is printing those missing arguments, which would seem really odd. But since we're running CL with the same arguments, and it doesn't show them if we run it manually, maybe it's detecting if it's being ran through MSBuild and only outputting them. That would seem odd too. Maybe it's seeing an environment variable basically of the cmake verbose makefile, which it's not seeing when we run it manually, and maybe CL is outputting the options there to be compliant with that option, which is what I think is happening, and I don't think that Link is following the same suit, looking for that option and giving some verbosity. For completeness, while we're here, we'll go ahead and run Link. And we get no output from it at all. So the demo.vcx proj that we see must be coming from MSBuild. Off screen, reset the build directory, show you it's empty. Going to rerun cmake. Recompile, create that directory. Recompile. And then we're going to run Link this time, but we're going to get some output out of it by deleting the no logo option. And here we at least get a header, but we still don't get options, and we don't get the demo.vcx proj with an arrow line. So how does this happen in Linux? With cmake verbose makefile on, make shows each command that it's executing, giving us the options. It really doesn't appear like the compiler or the linker are outputting anything. It's all on make. So I don't know what needs to be fixed. I think the easiest way to go would be to have MSBuild see the cmake verbose makefile option and output the options. But if CL is seeing that right now and outputting the options, then Link just has to do the same thing.